Women's cinema is a notoriously difficult concept to define. It suggests without clarity films that might be made by, addressed to, or concerned with women, or all three. It is neither a genre nor a movement in film history. It has no single lineage of its own, no national boundaries, no filmic or aesthetic specificity, but traverses and negotiates cinematic and cultural traditions and critical and political debates. One element that defines women's cinema is that it challenges the patriarchal standards set by classic Hollywood cinema. Often, it looks at women and the representation of women on screen in ways that defy or reject common stereotypes. In Women's Cinema as Counter-Cinema, Claire Johnston notes that the image of man in cinema underwent rapid differentiation, while primitive stereotyping of women remained with some modifications. Female characters just haven't had the same evolution of complexity in film as their male counterparts. In her 2014 film, The Babadook, Jennifer Kent brought a new representation of the character of the mother in the horror genre by writing Amelia as a flawed yet sympathetic character.
Please. I haven't slept in weeks and neither has Samuel. And when we go home tonight, this whole nightmare will start up again and I'm really not coping.
Rather than presenting a stereotypical evil stepmother type abusing her child, or a stereotypical good caring mother protecting her child, Kent shows that Amelia is a complicated and relatable human being dealing with the difficulties of raising her son on her own. This allows for conflict without vilifying her. Amelia is not evil, and she isn't the monster that has to be defeated in the end. Kent evokes this essential feeling of empathy for Amelia in 4 ways. First, by showing an unromanticized view of Amelia's relationship with her son, Samuel. She shows the uncomfortable, annoying, and exhausting parts of parenting, as well as showing Amelia caring for and protecting her son. There are moments of extreme discomfort,
Don't do that!
as well as moments of solidarity between the two.
You look after your business and I'll go and find a school that sees my son as a human being and not just as another problem to be gotten rid of.
That's very unfair. We're only trying to help the boy.
Please, stop calling him the boy. His name is Samuel.
The second way she creates empathy for Amelia is by showing her in moments where she is being judged unfairly or in ignorance by others. The audience, having been there with her for the sleepless nights and tantrums, is able to understand Amelia's reactions far better than the other characters. She places the audience in Amelia's position and allows us to experience through her the discomfort and embarrassment of her situation, as well as her helplessness.
It's a real mess. I just found this cockroach infestation. I normally have the house sprayed. I did actually already have it sprayed, but there's this hole in the wall behind the fridge, and that's why I didn't mean a hole in the wall. There was a hole in the wallpaper. That's where they were laying their eggs, I think.
We've caught you at a bad time.
I'll leave you with this. We're required to come back in a week to talk through your options.
Here's my card.
The third and most obvious way is with the character of the Babadook. Kent takes a more surreal approach to horror with this film. The monster isn't necessarily real, rather it stands in as a representation for all of the inner turmoil Amelia and Samuel are facing. By creating a physical manifestation of the intangible emotions like grief and depression, Kent is able to make them the antagonist rather than having Amelia fill that role. It also allows Amelia to be just as afraid as Samuel. She isn't just an inherently bad person, she's a victim. The hallucinatory nature of these scenes alludes to the hallucinations and flashbacks which are common side effects of post-traumatic stress disorder, from which Amelia seems to be suffering following the death of her husband in a car accident. Fourth, and finally, by presenting the film from Amelia's perspective, allowing the audience to experience her internal conflicts with her, and bringing us along for her journey down the rabbit hole. This is the most important element of creating Amelia as a sympathetic character. Had this story been told from Samuel's perspective, it probably would have followed all of the classic tropes of bad mothers in horror films. Amelia would have become a monster a la Jack Torrance.
Here's Johnny!
However, by allowing the audience to experience the degeneration of Amelia's mental health through her eyes, Kent gives us a way to understand her actions. We see Amelia's horror at her own actions, and we can empathize with her, forgive her, and have hope for her eventual redemption.
I'm really hungry, Mum.
Why do you have to keep talking? Don't you ever stop?
As Tammy Oler says in her article, The Mommy Trap, in The Babadook, Amelia never really vanquishes the monster. Instead, by acknowledging the feelings that scare her the most, she finds a way to live with them. It's hard to think of a more compelling way to think about the power of these films. They don't offer the traditional cathartic horror movie release of terror vanquished, but they do let women face the unspoken fears of motherhood and womanhood in our pressure cooker era, and that is a big relief.